Kids' Book for Boys. Diary of a Man in a Search for Happiness. Adventure Stories for Kids. Written by Jeff Child. Narrated by John H. Feskins. Introduction. This is a story about a man. His name is Adam, and he comes across a wishing well. And although the well grants him every wish, he quickly finds out that he doesn't really know what he wants. His happiness, he discovers, doesn't necessarily rely on fame and fortune, or the other desirable things he wishes for. Listen about this inspirational story about a man who discovers his true worth and true happiness in life. Chapter 1. The Wishing Well. I am Adam, simply Adam. I will tell you what happened to me recently, something weird and unbelievable, but it came true. Let me ask you this, reader of my diary. If you could have or be anything, literally anything in life, what would it be? That's the question I got confronted with. I never expected it, but I had to answer it right there and then. I was glad, however, that I received several chances to correct myself. You see, a lot of people don't know what they want in life, or what's good for them at least. They don't appreciate what they have until they lose it, and they somehow think the grass is always greener on the other side. Anyway, just something for you to think about. Learn from my mistakes, so you won't have to make them as well. Enough said. I won't leave you in the dark any longer, and reveal the sequence of events that overcame me. I was living in a tiny village by myself. The big city was only about 20 miles away, but I never went there. Life was fine as it was. I was a glass blower. I made beautiful, shiny objects by applying all the techniques I learned from my father, who passed away. I was in my early 20s, and I lived on my own with my little business. One day, I was blowing some glass for a couple that was getting married. They had been in love for a long time, and had finally made the decision to say their vows and be committed to each other. It was fun. It was a special challenge, because I had never made a male and female figure from glass before. I mean, I had made them separately, but not together, melted as one. I spent hours and hours that day trying to perfect their glass ornament. It would be the centerpiece on their wedding cake, so I would get a lot of attention for my business as well when the guests would come. With the few coins of gold I had saved up, I would be thrilled to see my business grow and maybe even have the word spread to the city area. The glass statue was 3 feet high, and the details in it were exquisite. It was as if I was inspired like never before to make it this way. But something went wrong. Terribly wrong. Creatures from the forest and other realms were always near us. I never cared, for I had never seen one. They were just rumors. But it completely destroyed what I had planned for so long. It was a dark shade with a scar on his face that day. A dark, vile monster from another place. And it came into our picturesque village to disturb our peace. As I was working on the glass, always in my barn, with the door open so that people could observe my handiwork, the dark shade teleported in front of me. I got startled. I fell backwards and knocked over my stuff. "Oh no, I said. I went through the things that just fell on the floor and sorted out the equipment. But before I did that, I discovered, to my horror, that the glass ornament I had been working on all day had broken into 1,000 pieces. I was devastated. I did not have the time to start over. I couldn't give up my sleep, could I? And what about all the overtime? I just knew they weren't prepared to pay for that. The accident hit me hard. It was the end of my amazing opportunity. It was over. Stupid dark shade. Why did he do this? And where did he go? He teleported. Over there. I grabbed a granite shovel from my shed and ran after him. When I came to the spot where he had teleported to, he vanished again, teleporting to another spot. "There!" I shouted. "Come back here!" None of the villagers saw me, as they just happened to be elsewhere at the time. So I chased the dark shade by myself, running from street to street and after him into the forest. There was a strange fog that day, in the forest at least, and I couldn't see the dark shade any more. "Where are you?" I yelled. "Show yourself!" I held onto the shovel firmly, a grip with 2 hands to make sure I could strike any moment if he would appear in front of me. But he was gone, nowhere to be found. I saw something in the distance. I didn't know what it was, but it seemed like a vague silhouette of someone or something. Mysterious, I thought. Let's check it out. I walked over there and found a well. Weird. I had never seen this well before. Then again, I didn't go to the forest a lot, since I usually kept myself busy blowing glass all day. Who would put a well in the middle of the forest like this? I asked myself. With the climate we are in, you'd think someone would rather put it in the village. I came closer and observed the well. It was made of bricks, and there was a little roof attached to it, with a wooden bar and rope that allowed people to haul up a bucket with water. I looked down the well and was surprised that I couldn't see the end. It seemed endlessly deep, but maybe it just appeared that way because of the fog. I had forgotten about the dark shade. Pursuing him wouldn't help me get my glass back anyway. I punched against the tree out of frustration and sat down. I took a deep breath and calmed down. What now? I asked myself, looking up. Then I looked at the well again. I got over it. There was nothing I could do. So I decided to have some fun and try out the echo in the well. I leaned over the edge and said, "Hello! Hello!" I heard. "You're funny!" I shouted. But instead of hearing back the same words, I heard something else. "Is that what you want to be? Funny?" the well asked. Huh? That's not what I said. What was going on here? I got a little concerned. "Is someone in there?" I asked. "Nobody," I heard. "I am talking. Why would you assume that wells can't talk?" "No reason," I said. That was weird. "I am the wishing well," the well said. "You can wish for anything. I will grant you all your wishes. If you are not satisfied with your wish, you just have to shout, 'I take it back!' Then your wish will be reversed and you can wish again." "Endless wishes?" I asked. "Wow, sounds too good to be true. How do I know you're not lying?" "Ha ha ha," the well said. "Most people wish for dumb things. Let's see if you are any better. It's not too good to be true. You can create your own truth. The question is, what do you want? Do you even know what you want?" I thought for a moment and then asked, "So what you're saying is that I can take back any wish and change it into something else?" "Yes, but the only catch is—" I knew there was a catch. "You cannot blame me for the consequences. You may think you want something now, but it might not be what you expected of it. Whatever you wish for will happen, with everything that comes with it, the good and the bad. So go ahead and test out all the options in life. But if I were you, I would think twice before I would wish for something." "Sounds reasonable," I said. This was great. I could wish for anything I wanted. A lot of lifestyles would be better than what I had now. And it was all available to me instantly. That is, if this was the real thing. What was I going to wish for? I thought of my little business and how impoverished I actually was. I was trying to build it up and spread the word about my glass ornaments to make a living. What if I could just have all that money right away? Then I wouldn't have to work anymore. That would be awesome. "I know what I want," I finally said. "Let's hear it," the well said. "I want to be rich." "You got it," the well confirmed. Chapter 2. Rich. Poof! I was back at my house. I had just teleported from the wishing well in the forest to the front yard of my home. Wait a minute. I have a front yard? I blinked a few times, hardly believing what I saw. The wishing well had delivered its promise. I was rich. Before my eyes, I saw a humongous villa. It was surrounded by a beautiful garden with flowers, grass, and figurative bushes. In the middle, I noticed a fabulous fountain. Wow! Was this my house? I walked towards the front door. The villa was decorated with little angels and sharp and diverse swirls. I looked at the sign on the front door and it had my name on it. Wow again! This was fantastic! I could hardly wait to see the inside. When I opened the door, I was dumbfounded. The ceilings were covered in complicated paintings. Expensive vases and mirrors were on the walls, surrounded by gold, silver, and diamonds. A comfortable couch made a visit pleasant and didn't do the beautiful table and chairs on the side of the room justice. The entire place was stylish, high class, and posh. The first few days, I just relaxed. I didn't need to do any work, and I just had a good time by myself. I took a bath, enjoyed the view, read a book, ordered some delicious food, and slept on the soft mattress on my enormous bed. But then I got a little bored. I could relax every day, and it was pretty fun, but it just didn't give me any fulfillment. I got a little lonely in my big mansion. So that day, I left the house and walked into the village. The other homes in town were not nearly as extravagant as mine. I figured I was the richest person in the village, and I hoped people would respect my status. Quite the opposite happened. "Hi, Carl," I said, when I saw one of my friends in the village. He ignored me. "What's happening?" I asked. "A lot," he finally said. "While you're just being lazy in your giant house, we are actually doing some hard work here." And then I realized that the wishing well was trying to teach me a lesson. Being rich wasn't everything if you get bored or if people don't even like you. Carl was jealous, obviously, so I invited him over. "Just gather all your friends in the village and then we'll have a big party tonight. How does that sound?" I said. "Wow, you're willing to do that for me?" he asked. "Of course. I would be mean if I didn't share some of what I have." "You bet. I'll be there, and I'll ask some other people to come too." "I will arrange music and food," I said. The next thing I did was go around the village and inform everyone I knew who could provide me a service, like musicians, cooks, and entertainers. I got jugglers, jokers, and dancers to come. That night there was a party in town. Everyone knew about it. They all loved what I did, and there was much enjoyment. People danced and ate a lot of the free food I provided. They socialized and had a good time. My loneliness was gone, at least partially. People smiled at me and thanked me, but when it was over, I felt it again. I knew some of them were sincere, and they certainly didn't mean to offend me, but I saw a lot of them who were just there for themselves. Some of them stuffed the food into their pockets. Others said hi, but didn't show that they were really interested in me. Status wasn't everything. Nobody asked me about my success or my family life. It was all just a shallow presentation of what could have been some real friendships. I went to bed that night, feeling a little better because the party was at least somewhat fun, but still empty inside because it was not what I expected it to be. I fell asleep. I dreamt about being liked better, something I was lacking at that moment. But then I woke up by the sound of the front door. What was that? I thought. I got up and went downstairs, tiptoeing all the way to ensure my safety from whatever it was that opened the door. When I was at the bottom of the stairs, I saw a man with a face mask. He was digging through some stuff in the drawers of a cupboard in the hallway. A burglar. I knew it. This guy was trying to steal my stuff. I rushed to the kitchen, not making a sound, and got a knife. I snuck back to the hallway and noticed that he had disappeared. I went outside and looked around. He had left the door open and taken what he wanted. Disappointed, I went back inside and discovered that some valuable items were missing. This rich thing wasn't working out. I just wanted people to like me, not wallow in self-pity, surrounded by luxury and boredom. With my hand, I stroked the surface of one of the mirrors and let myself fall down on the couch. I sighed. I looked at the beautiful paintings on the ceiling. I wasn't even going to miss those. Then I shouted, "I take it back!" Chapter 3. Famous. The next thing I knew, I was back at the well again. I looked around me. The fog was still there. It was almost like a magical mist from a fairy tale that covered up reality. I bent over the edge and talked to the well again. "What went wrong?" the well asked. "I don't think the being rich thing is for me," I said. "What's wrong with being rich?" the well asked. "Oh, it's not really bad. I guess a lot of rich people are happy. I don't think being rich makes you miserable, but to me, it didn't do much. People got jealous, some just pretended to be friends when they weren't, and I got robbed." "Classic mistake," the well said. "A lot of people think that if they are just wealthy enough, all their problems go away." "Well, I noticed not everyone liked me. In fact, some people despised me for being rich." "So what do you want instead?" the well asked. "I want to be liked," I said. "I want to be loved. Make me famous, then everyone will like me." "You're sure?" the well asked. "Absolutely." "Your wish is my command," the well said. "Just remember, you can always take it back." "Oh, I am certain I don't want to take this one back," I said. Poof! I was back at my house. It wasn't looking so fancy anymore. It looked like a decent place, but nothing over the top. When I was about to enter, a guy came to me and said, "I can't believe it. Where have you been? The media have been looking all over for you." "Oh, yeah?" I asked. "Of course. I'm going to tell them you're here. Just stay here and don't go anywhere." "Okay," I said. As he ran away, I sat down on a bench on my porch and waited for the time to pass. Within minutes, hundreds of people appeared in my yard. Some of them looked like they wanted to interview me, so I allowed them to step forward. "Mr. Adam, can you give us a few words about how you got so far?" a woman asked. "Hard work, I guess," I said. "Do you realize you have inspired thousands of artists across the country with your glass statues and ornaments?" "I did not know that. Thanks," I said. "What are your thoughts on that?" "I am glad I was able to share my creativity with others," I said with a smile. The rest of the interview went smoothly. People asked me to sign their documents, and some of the artists made drawings of me, after which I signed those as well. I was popular, and it was a lot of fun. Little children came to me and asked me to give a demonstration. I went to my workshop and started blowing glass. The whole crowd stood amazed at my skills. They were taking notes, discussing how I did it, and encouraging their sons to become like me. Afterwards, people stood in line to shake my hand and have the honor to meet me. I felt great. I lay my pillow on my head that night, thinking that I had made it. Everyone liked me. This was great. I was a celebrity. One of the reporters told me there were advertisements in the city to buy my handmade glass items, and that the distribution was going well. I looked at some of the things I made. They symbolized the inner power in human beings to create something worthwhile. The next day, I left my home to buy some food in the village. I came to the butcher. There I met a woman I had never seen before. She was gorgeous, and I wondered if we were meant to be together. It was love. Well, more like attractiveness at first sight. I was hesitant at first, but then I took courage and walked over. "Good day," I said. "Good day to you," she said. "Have we met before?" I asked. "I don't think so, but I have heard of you," she said. "You have?" "Of course, you silly. Everyone has heard of your glass objects. They're beautiful." I felt flattered, but I don't know if she was flirting with me or if she was just being nice. So I asked, "How would you feel about getting to know each other a little better and grabbing a drink this afternoon?" Thanks, she said, but I'll pass. Nothing personal. Man, I thought this would be easier. After all, I was a celebrity. I accepted her rejection and said goodbye. I was a bit confused. Why would she not be interested in me? Did she already have a boyfriend or a husband? I kept walking home, but then I saw Carl. Carl, how's it going? I asked. Not bad. I heard you were doing well in business, he said. You became pretty famous. Yes, a lot of people are impressed. That's true, he said. But there are others who went bankrupt because they couldn't compete with your handiwork. I paused. I had never thought about it that way before. My success would diminish the success of others and eliminate the competition. I wondered if everyone really liked me or if just some people did. I was becoming more aware of the fact that celebrities are both hated and loved, depending on who you talk to. It wasn't my intention to put others out of work, I said. I know, he said. I don't hate you for it, but then again, I am not in the glass-blowing business, am I? You're right, I said. Hey, I have another question. Go ahead. The woman at the butcher's place wouldn't even go out with me. Why do you think that is? Is she in a relationship? I don't think so, Carl said. But just think about it this way. Just because you're famous doesn't mean every woman is looking for someone like you. I felt insulted. Are you saying I'm ugly? I asked. Not ugly, he said. But maybe you're just not her type. Oh, okay. Yes, maybe not. Well, see you later, Carl. I went home feeling inadequate and unsatisfied. Being famous was fun, but just like a lot of people liked me, there were also those who hated me. Being well known had two sides, apparently. Moreover, I didn't feel like I could get the other gender to be interested in me after being rejected so harshly. No, this wasn't it. I wanted something else. I take it back, I shouted. And before I could think of anything else, I was back at the well. Chapter 4. Handsome. What's wrong this time? The well asked when I arrived. Not everyone liked me, I said. Was that what you wanted then? The well asked. Well, if that's the case, then I would advise you to give up. It's simply impossible to make everyone like you, even if you live a perfect life. There are always those who hate you, no matter what you do. And it's just because they can't stand another person being better than they are, or because they are insecure or bitter about life. It's how it has always been. Well, you could have told me that, I said. I tried to tell you, but you were too eager to be famous. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Now you've had the experience. You've got endless wishes, so don't worry about it. I'm not. I just want you to grant me the next wish. Can I get another one? I already told you that you could, the well said. Speak up and I will do it. I want to be attractive. To whom? The well asked. Mosquitoes? No, to women, of course. I want to be hot and handsome and irresistible. Sure, the well said. Poof! There I was again, standing in front of my home, at the same place as with all the other wishes. I wondered what would happen this time. My house didn't look that rich anymore, not even decent. I hadn't wished for riches or popularity, just for attractiveness. I went inside and noticed that I was just as poor as before the wishes. But when I looked into my mediocre mirror, I was in shock. Whoa, I said. I look stunning. I mean, I like looking at women myself, but I could see how this face and this body will work in my favor when I ask a woman for a date. Even though I thought the butcher's daughter was beautiful, still, somehow I just wanted to explore my possibilities. So I took some food and headed to the big city. I hadn't been to the city for a while, so it was interesting to look around a bit and observe the rustle and bustle of the big metropolis. There was a market in the streets, and I liked just going for a walk and taking a look around. There were clothes, fruits and vegetables, bread, and knickknacks for sale. Every vendor was doing his best to get rid of his stuff and become a little better off. Suddenly, someone tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around. "Hi," a pretty woman said. "What's your name? My name is Delilah." "Adam," I said. "Nice to meet you." But before I could end the conversation or say anything interesting, a big man came and stood behind her. "Are you trying to flirt with my girl?" he asked. "No," I said. "She just said hi and I said it back." "Uh-huh," he said. "Well, next time just ignore her. She doesn't know what she wants, so I need to tell her. Come on, woman." "Fine, sorry," I said. He left. I realized that it wasn't good to be handsome if people in a relationship were attracted to them. It wasn't my intention to break up people's relationships. I better check next time if they're available, I thought. I walked around some more and noticed some young women staring at me. This was great. I was the man. All these women thought I was attractive. I could choose whomever I wanted. That's what it felt like, at least. In the evening, I went into a bar. I knew I would be able to socialize there and get to know some people, especially girls. When I entered the room, I immediately felt the difference. In the village, before my handsomeness wish was granted, not a lot of people paid attention to me. Now it was like I was the center of attention. I walked upright and confident to the bartender and ordered a drink. It didn't take long before I was surrounded by women. Some were flirting with me and were very forward. Others were subtler and stayed at a distance, but still wanted to be around me. I felt wanted and important. When I left, some of them wanted to go home with me, but I said I would see them the next day. I wasn't ready for a solid relationship yet, and still one of them followed me. "I will see you later," I said. "But I still want to talk to you," she said. "Okay, let's get to know each other better," I said. "What do you like to do for fun?" She giggled. "I like to be spontaneous and meet people." "Okay, what else?" "I don't know. How about you?" "I am a glassblower." "Oh, nice," she said. Nothing more. I wondered if she was really interested in me, or if she was kind of superficial, or perhaps just very shy. I didn't give up yet. I kept digging deeper. "So what do you look for in a guy?" I asked. Strong muscles, lots of money, good-looking face, which you definitely have. You know, that sort of stuff." She didn't ask me back what I was looking for in a girl. She just kept flirting and became a little clingy. After a while, I concluded that perhaps I hadn't started a conversation with the brightest young lady in town, and said goodbye. It didn't just stick with this experience. Every time I met new women, I attracted the shallow, dumb types for some reason. It went on like this for days, and I never felt the desire to get really close to them, no matter how beautiful they were. I wasn't just looking for a good pair of lips, pretty eyes, and some hair waving in the wind with a hot body underneath it. No, I was looking for something more serious. And after a while, all that attention started to bother me, because it wasn't sincere or deep. It always stayed at small talk and discussions about looks or money. One day, I had another frustrating evening at one of those places in the city. I was fed up with it. This thing about being really, really ridiculously good-looking wasn't everything. I longed for a better, deeper, long-term relationship. I sat on my bed and thought about it. Then I said out loud, "I take it back." Poof! I was back at the well, ready to explain my dilemma. Chapter 5. Smart. "Back already, huh?" the well said. "Yes, I just couldn't take it anymore. If I want to attract a woman into my life, I want it to be something that lasts. Some of those girls in the city were so stupid, not to be condescending or something, but they were not what I was looking for. I think it's fun to be handsome, but I think there is a downside to it too. It's kind of like being popular or rich. All that superficial attention by people who don't actually care about you." "I am surprised how fast you're understanding what it's all about," the well said. So what would be your next wish? I was turned off by all those dumb folks, to be honest. I want to be smart, intelligent, knowledgeable. I think that this will add a lot more to my life than all those other things. It's already done, the well said. Poof! I was home again. I was standing in front of my house. When I went inside, the room was full of books. Ha! Funny. It made sense, though, since there was a lot of knowledge to be found in books. I couldn't wait to get my hands on some of that stuff, so I picked a book from the many shelves that had magically appeared in my living room and began to read. The next few days, I read about Socrates, Shakespeare, and several books on history, science, politics, languages, and physics. I knew a lot, and the information was being sucked up by my brain like a sponge. After some time, I got an invitation. It was to a debate club in the city. Could be interesting, I thought. Several days later, I took off and entered the city. I found the designated building in a considerable time period and went inside. There it was, a group of literate and sophisticated gentlemen who had been educated by the best books and teachers in the vicinity. I was ready to join these fine, distinguished lords from all over the country. The discussion started. It was about politics. But as it kept going, I didn't necessarily gain more respect for these men. It was strange. They knew so much, but their debate wasn't always reasonable. It's absurd to think of the country as some piggy bank that you could turn upside down and invest into the general population. They are not trustworthy, one of them said. Just listen to yourself. The old ways of egocentric thinking are over. Divisions have already been made. You cannot deny the fact that only a few % of the people control more than 90% of all equity. You talk about slavery. It will turn the entire economy into a melting pot. We should celebrate the differences. And what's wrong with that? What do you call what they're doing now? Just because you have your own set of pushovers who do anything for you, the dictator, the spider in the web, doesn't mean you can minimize the efforts of the majority. Well, I ought to teach you what it means to be a successful entrepreneur, my good sir. Something you probably wouldn't understand since you're sticking your nose into all that literature rubbish. And that's how it went on for a long time. They threw a bunch of complicated, expensive words into their lectures, but all they did was arguing. That's when I concluded that knowledge is nothing if it doesn't go together with some manners, kindness, or some actual wisdom. You could be the smartest person in the world, but be the biggest jerk as well. I didn't like it. I was done with all the intellectual thinking and this pretending to be so much smarter than others. I left the room and said, I take it back. Chapter 6. Heroic. Poof! I was back at the well. Now what? The well asked. I thought you liked being smart. Isn't that worth something? Yes, I said. It's not all bad, but it's not everything either. I learned a lot from those books, but how is it going to help me in life? Did some of those guys in the debate room just study a lot so they could consider themselves as some smarty pants who knew more than others? You're getting warmer to what really matters, the well said. I am proud of you. Don't get me wrong, knowledge is great, but if you don't apply it well, it won't get you anywhere. Some of the smartest people in the world are the most miserable ones. So what now? What do you want to wish for next? Well, I began, those men were studying all day, but they were just in their own world, building up opinions and reading about this or that. All that knowledge stayed in their heads and didn't help anyone. So you want to help people? The well asked. Yes, but I think it's important to get the honor I deserve as well. Really? The well asked. Then it sighed. Yes, nothing wrong with that, is there? Wishing well, I wish to become a hero. You know, one of those warriors that saves the population from calamities and gets carried back into the cities on their shoulders. You got it, the well said without hesitation. Poof! I got exactly what I wanted. I stood in front of my home again, but this time, when I went inside, there were all kinds of weapons. I was a warrior with some serious armor and tools. I took a diamond sword, which was one of the best weapons, nearly unbreakable, and started practicing my moves. Surprised that I picked up the skills so fast, I kept training and waiting for that moment when the village needed me. A few days later, that moment arrived. "Alarm!" one of the villagers yelled. "We are being attacked!" I rushed to my weaponry and came out with a sword and shield. "Where?" I asked. "By whom?" "20 dark shades," he said. "They are at the village border." "I'll get to it," I said. "Don't worry, I will deal with these pests." As I ran to the spot he pointed out, I became even happier when I realized that the dark shade that knocked over my glass wedding statue could be one of the enemies in their little army. The villagers were hiding. I was the only one there, facing the group of dark shades by myself. I held up my sword and shield and taunted them. They teleported into my direction, but the wish had made me a competent opponent, helping me sense immediately in which direction they would go. I stabbed one behind me, turned around and smashed another in the face, and went on with my killing spree until they were all dead. Only one of them was left, however, and I noticed he had a scar on his face. This was the dark shade I had been looking for. "Try to knock me over again, you monster," I said. He came closer and tried to attack me, but I stabbed him. I looked into his glowing eyes before I let him go. Then he dropped to the ground and died. I was full of myself. I was proud. I had killed these dark shades and protected the village. Additionally, I had my revenge. The dark shade that had caused so much trouble in the first place now lay dead before my feet. The villagers came out and carried me on their shoulders. "Hooray for Adam! He saved our lives!" they exclaimed. "Hooray for the courageous hero!" There was a party afterwards. Men were grateful and women were in love with me. It was another one of those moments I had been craving, honor and praise. But this time I had put my life in danger for others. It was a sacrifice, and it was completely unselfish. Wasn't it? Wait a minute. Was it? That night I went home and thought about my motives. I had done the right thing, but perhaps it was for the wrong reasons. The village was safe, the dark shades were dead, but I still felt hollow inside. And again, I realized that my biggest reason for performing this brave deed was to have others notice me and to feel good about myself by having others admire me. Again, this was not making me happy, and I thought it was because I was thinking of myself again. After a short hesitation, I knew it was the right thing to do. I raised my voice and shouted, "I take it back!" Poof! I was back at the well. Chapter 7. Selfless. I stood there, puzzled because of my own indecisiveness. What was I going to wish for? "You seem confused," the well said. "I guess I am," I responded. "All those times I wished for things that would make me feel better, things for myself. Personal gain was all I cared about, but every time I felt empty inside, and I wasn't content about life." "What are you saying?" the well asked. "I think that what I am saying is that I want to be selfless," I answered. "Then just say the words and it will be done." "I wish to be selfless," I said. "That is the best wish I have heard you make," the well commented. Then, poof! I was back at my house. The situation was the same as in the beginning. My house was small and unimpressive. I walked inside and saw the broken glass statue. I sighed. The dark shade was gone. I was back at where I had begun. But this time, my attitude was different. The frustration was still there, but I knew what to do about it. "This is going to take a long time," I said when I looked at the mess. But I began, no matter how much I hated it. I cleaned it up, got a new piece of glass, and started to work. It became evening. It became night. I did the same as before. I tried to perfect every detail in the statue to make sure this couple would have a beautiful centerpiece for their wedding cake. When I was done, I looked at the sky. The sun was coming up. Apparently, I had been working all night to complete the project. I was exhausted, but I was proud of myself. A few hours later, the groom showed up at my doorstep. He asked if he could see the glass statue. I proudly presented it to him. "How much is it?" he asked. I told him how many golden coins it was. I didn't charge him anything for the time after it got destroyed. The second statue I had made was completely free. But I knew that telling him that would make him feel guilty, so I didn't. "Thank you," he said. "It looks great. This is exactly what I was looking for." "You're welcome," I said. When he left, I felt better inside. I had served this young man in the best way I knew, and I had done it for a normal wage, without making him pay for something that wasn't his fault. I went to bed because I was fatigued. I had to catch up. Later, the whole village heard of my handiwork, and I got a lot more business after that. Even people from the city came to make orders and buy my things. But despite the success, I was especially glad that I was able to help. I knew that what I had done was right, and that was more valuable than anything. The end. This has been Kids Book for Boys, Diary of a Man in a Search for Happiness, Adventure Stories for Kids. Written by Jeff Child, narrated by John H. Feskins. Copyright 2017 by Jeff Child. Production copyright 2017 by Jeff Child.